G'day YouTube viewer, g'day bikers. Out on a 5 dirt road ride on the DR650 Dual Sport today from Suzuki, and doing something I really love, getting out on my own and exploring, finding new places I haven't been before, and being one in mindfulness with the motorbike. So today we start on Yalwal Road, and then take that to Burrier Road, which becomes Grassy Gully Road, and that will eventually take you to Coolindale, but we're not going that far today. After about 5 kilometres on Grassy Gully Road, we veer left onto Old Burrier Fire Trail and start some steep, windy climbing on a track I recently did for the first time on the KLX 230S. And now as we climb up and go over some big whoop-de-doos, the road levels out a little bit, and then we take a very steep descent where concrete has been poured to make it a little bit easier in the wet for mostly four-wheel drive vehicles, and then we level out again. Now just before the steep descent and just after it, there are some spectacular views as you look right off the trail. And when I was riding the KLX 230 out here recently, I actually got off the bike, walked a very short distance, and had this incredible outlook over mountains and valleys and some sensational terrain. Now rather than make this video too long, I'll link that one to the end of this so you can check that out. I'll also talk a little bit more about the undulation in this trail. Now, I took this track until it joined a dirt section of Yalwell Road, where I turned left and remained on it for about 5 kilometres until turning right onto Deans Gap Road, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But first of all, just want to mention if I had turned right onto Yalwell Road rather than left, we would have experienced some fast dirt road riding, which is ideal for the DR650, and then taken a steep mountainous descent with more incredible views. And I'll link another video to the end of this one that shows that. Now here we are on Deans Gap Road, which I didn't realise zigzagged across some powerline service tracks. That looked really interesting. And after I'd observed a few, I decided to take one. Unbeknowingly though, as I got a few hundred metres in, there were a number of beehives just to the left, and I could see a swarm of thousands of bees near it. But I didn't want to slow down too much, because if I had done that or stopped, there would have been a pretty high risk of getting bitten, so I just kept going, and I'm not sure if it'll show out in the video if you look to the left how many bees there were flying around. But I didn't want to stop and zoom in, but the track looked really interesting, and when I turned back onto Deans Gap Road and looked ahead, it got quite undulating and windy. Now, Deans Gap Road is a good road, but it has some huge potholes, some of which could swallow a whole bike. Now, the road eventually meets Braidwood Road, just to the west of the Turpentine Road intersection. I turned right onto Braidwood Road and rode it for about 5 or 10 kilometres towards Nerriga, before turning left onto Wandian Road to Wandian Gap. Just before you get to Wandian Gap, you can turn right and make a small deviation onto Jarrawangala Lookout Road for another spectacular view out towards Jervis Bay. And I'll link a ride I did recently on the KLX 230S, where I stopped and took in that view. Dirt bike through there today. After Wandian Gap, I then stayed on Wandian Road all the way to Wandandian and saw many other tracks and trails veering off along the way. All in all, it took me about 2.5 hours to get from the Shoalhaven River to Wandandian, but I was taking it slowly and you could do it a lot quicker. Once I got there, I turned around and went back, so I could enjoy more hours in the saddle on gravel. Nice and steep coming up the other way. We're on Wandian Road. You can actually see the sea over there. We've come from the Shoalhaven River across to near the sea. Be over near Sussex Inlet or somewhere in George's Basin. One of those places looking out through there, I mentioned. They were ideal roads for the Suzuki DR650 Dual Sport. When I checked out a couple of these recently on the KLX 230S, I was thinking they might be more challenging than they were, and realised the bigger and heavier and more powerful DR650 wouldn't have a problem. In fact, I think most people do these roads on even larger, more powerful adventure bikes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so before, please subscribe to the channel because that will alert more people like you interested in biking to my content. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and until next time, happy motorcycling. That's the highway of Wandandian.